at 10, a Northwest Iowa high school is taking steps to connect students with careers in skilled trades. KTIV's Taylor Deckard takes us to Marcus, Iowa tonight, where students work to excel in trade, technology, and service.
It's more than just shop class. Students are learning life skills.
They're all skills that are used throughout your entire life. If I need to do a little bit of woodworking or carpentry, I can do that.
Skills USA starts at the high school level, an organization that teaches trade skills like welding, mechanics, and also skills that go into the field of nursing, engineering, cooking, anything hands-on.
I had a rough idea that I'd take shop class. I just didn't know that I would like being so hands-on with stuff.
So right now we're looking at our additive manufacturing part, and we've got our drafting lab over here. So these are 3D printers. It allows our kids to kind of like think about problems and learn how to solve problems.
Students are also hands-on in the field of architecture, manufacturing, technology, programming, and cabinet making. For example, the freshman class made a raised panel door during Thursday's workshop.
I may leave high school and I might know how to build something out of wood very well, but the best part is like I'm able to learn the things that make it work.
MMCRU has grown the shop over the last year, adding on to the shop now with 20,000 square feet to work in and learn. It's a booming program. 83% of the district takes at least one shop class with more modern technology.
A lot of these students, especially guys from around here, go into manufacturing and CNC and welding and stuff like that. We also have a lot of girls who do go into nursing too and everything, so it's a wide variety of everything.
You know, I'm able to learn, okay, why didn't this work? The problem solving, the communication skills, those type of skills that you can't like teach in the workforce, that you're able to learn here. I really think it's just a part of the industrial trades that are just so important.
Kids leave high school with skills that they can use for the rest of their life.
In Marcus, Iowa, Taylor Deckard, KTIV News 4.
And students told Taylor today that they really want to work in agricultural business. She said they also talked about seed sales or maybe on the police force or in the military. They said they would also like to explore taking over a family farm, diesel fuel technology, and engineering.